I signed for them after the Euros, and after my first day's training, I was driving home. I was actually thinking,
regretting it.
What have I done?
What was
Like I
for you?
walked into a circus.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Just looking
Deal or
at,
no deal?
Keith Andrews there in the little build-up. There will be links between some of this Irish team, management team, again, and another job, which is a Bowes job. I definitely think that, be it like, I think Stephen Rice will definitely be mentioned, maybe Jim Crawford. I don't know what his situation is, but this is an attractive job, and League of Ireland jobs don't come around very often, particularly not a job in Dublin with a big club.
Sure, but are the Ireland jobs at the moment not more attractive considering the quality of player that are coming through?
It depends on the level of the job. I think for Rice, there's obviously that job that has been, well, there've been maybe 2 people in it already. Certainly Rory Higgins. There's a lot of travelling involved. Stephen Rice is a young kid, for example. And the League of Ireland is going places. Damien Duff's in the paper. He's the Shells manager. Shamrock Rovers are in the group stage of Europe. It's in your own city. It'll definitely appeal to... and there'll be like even... Mad suggestion, Michael O'Neill after leaving Stoke, would he be in the run and come back to Ireland? Probably too big for him, but
he's going to be the Northern Ireland manager in a few months, probably.
There's that as well. That's probably a mad one, but it's a really interesting one to see who gets that job, because it's a big job, and League of Ireland jobs are a lot more attractive than they used to be. Deal or no deal.
There you go. Brazilian reporter Mateus Leal is reporting that Liverpool have made a £20 million sterling bid for Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz. Phil, deal or no deal?
Deal or no deal. It was like a food show there for a minute.
Well,
it's your fish this morning.
I think Liverpool need midfielders, and I'm going to be surprised if they sign one, because just listen.
Why would you be surprised?
Liverpool
need midfielders. I'd be surprised.
Is this like Wenger needed a goalkeeper, needed a centre back, refused point blank to sign one?
Well, like Klopp sees himself as a manager with midfielders, but the problem at the moment is they're injured, and I know they will recover from injury, but some of those players will get injured again because that is their track record. Thiago is obviously an incredibly talented and technically gifted midfielder, but we've talked about this before, he tends to miss a third of the season in the Premier League. So it's like having this fancy car, you look into the garage and you can see it, but someone tells you can't drive it. So you need players that are durable. And when it was clear that Gini Wijnaldum was probably not going to sign a contract, you were kind of thinking, right, you need to fill that gap there. And even though he wasn't great in his last season, he was always available. You knew exactly what you were going to get from him. Whereas now, with Liverpool's midfield, certain players pick up knocks, and there's obviously...
Klopp needs to be allowed to count a little bit on this, because in the Man United game, they started with Harvey Elliott, who's a brilliant prospect, and he's already a great footballer, but Henderson and Milner, they're midfield. So you haven't signed players, and at this stage they're already sort of fading out of the title race. They
gave Henderson a lot of money.
Henderson is probably slightly on the wane. Miller's 36. You should not be starting in your, what was it, the third game of the season with that midfield, and they were obviously they still had a lot of the ball, but they lost the game, and deservedly lost the game.
Yeah, well, Fabinho was on the bench, and he hadn't had a good game against Crystal Palace previously. But with that midfield at Old Trafford, for example, there was no control in it.
No.
Now, Liverpool, when they had their best spells under Klopp, didn't necessarily have great control in midfield, but what they did is they got you the ball back straight away with tempo, and because your attack was so good, there was space for your attackers to exploit defences that were caught in the hop because they coughed up possession, because Liverpool's midfield was so good at getting it back. It's not as good at retrieving the ball as it used to be.
So they need to inject more energy into that. Do they have the players at the club at the moment who can do that? Like, did some penny drop during the 9-0, or do we need to ignore that?
No. I just think they were... I think it helped against Bournemouth that they scored early. I think Liverpool are...
There's got to be a TAA. There's still this debate. We had it on the show on Saturday. There has to be a debate about playing him in the whole midfield role. At least give it a go. Well, you sacrifice too much of right back.
If you have a holding midfielder, your holding midfielder needs to spot danger defensively.
Yeah, so he's not a holding midfielder. You play him in the James Milner, like as one of those three, but not as a six.
Yeah, but he drifts into those areas anyway. So I don't think the Trent Alexander... I think...
You're saying no to Douglas Luiz, are you?
I actually think he would be... He's quite a durable player, and he would be available.
But
and
no.
you need cover, because Virgil van Dijk said something interesting after the Bournemouth game where he was asked about midfield, and he said, we need midfielders. Now, he wasn't necessarily saying that they need to sign midfielders, but he basically said that the engine room is obviously the midfield, and there's a lot of games.
Well, I need some help. I don't need my 36-year-old coming around screaming at me. What was he doing? Sliding in.
Put your hands out.
What was he? What was Milner doing?
He's 36.
It was like his sliding tackle was coming from 15 yards away. Everybody could see. Oh, I'm just going to swivel my hips here, and that guy's gone.
TAA wasn't the May West in it either.
No, there was. But
anyway,
I think as well, like one of the other options could have been, would he play two in midfield, like a 4-2-3-1? And Klopp was asked about that after the United game, and he said, well, basically I couldn't do that because I didn't have enough attackers to play. So
first world problems.
It's
okay. So no to Louise.
Yeah,
no deal.
I don't know if they're going to sign a midfielder, and I think
the other team who were linked with, Douglas Luiz, by the way, were Atletico Madrid. So Atletico Madrid, very good at recruitment. Liverpool, very good at recruitment. Steven Gerrard, you're on my bench. I don't want you. I don't need you. To Douglas Luiz. What? Like, is there what?
Yeah, well, I think it could be another tough night for Villa tonight at the Emirates.
I think it will
against
be.
the league leaders.
It was striking when we had the Villa chats on Monday night. Got massive hits. Villa.
It's a massive club.
Yeah, like you'd forget because they were out of the league for so long. Villa. Like,
I was being nice to Owen on his last day. He was like, I have another bigger club than Villa. I was like, okay, Owen. Okay, you're leaving. That's fine.
Yeah, all the best.
Cardiff City are in talks with West Brom about signing Callum Robinson, according to Sky Sports News this morning. Robinson has made 4 appearances for West Brom this season, all from the bench. He's had that slightly patronising Steve Bruce. Yeah, he's a good player. He's a very good player. Really like him. Not picking him. He wasn't in the squad for last night's draw. Egan, he's 27. Is this a good move?
He needs to play. Things were going well for him at West Brom until Steve Bruce arrived. And I think a lot of West Brom fans were saying things weren't that bad until Steve Bruce arrived. So, yeah, it's about getting game time, because if he wants to be in Stephen Kennedy's plans, he has to play.
Big time.
So, like Cardiff, it's still Championship. You got to look at a team. Are they going to get the best out of you? Are they suited to the way you want to play? There's no point in joining a club if you're playing in a team where they're lumping the ball at you. I mean, he's a good technical footballer. So when I saw that Steve Bruce was taking over at West Brom, I thought that's probably not great for Callum Robinson.
It's been good for Darragh Shea, in fairness. Right, nothing to say about that?
Just what Phil says, he desperately needs game time and
bit of confidence.
It's a bit of confidence, because Ireland are suddenly not too badly served up top, and Robinson, who was the starting striker, isn't anymore. And it's far from sure of his place, actually, unless he's playing football.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see him getting picked. He gets picked when he's fit. Generally.
For Ireland,
yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to see what Stephen Kenny says, but you can't necessarily be picking strikers.
The manager likes him though.
He does like him, but if he's not playing,
well, sorry, if he gets this move, we would assume he's going to play in Cardiff.
At least, like Parrott's playing week to week. Obafemi's playing week to week. Ida's back fit.
Not scoring in the league.
He's not scoring. Well, Preston aren't scoring at all. Yeah. But apparently his metrics are good. Otherwise, his KPIs, apart from the fact that he's there, which to score.
Mario Balotelli. Oh. Why always me? FC Sion in
Switzerland.
Yeah, well done. Yeah. So he's joined there, and that is it. There you go. Mario's still going. He could end up
Super
in the
Mario,
couldn't he?
He could get the Bose job. He's good for the brand.
Well,
yeah. Wouldn't be good for the club, but
no.
Yeah.
RB Leipzig managing director Oliver Mintzlaff has once again ruled out selling Josko Gvardiol. Have we got this correct? How's your Croatian? Anybody?
Yeah, I was in Croatia there last week. Yeah.
You
were?
How'd you get on? They've a few decent. Oh yeah, great country. Love it. I go there a lot. But
you get your pronunciation right well over there on what's his name?
Josko Gvardiol. Josko.
Yeah. Josko Gvardiol is 20. He is an absolute beast of a 20-year-old. And once again, Leipzig are producing these young centre halves. We've obviously seen Kanate go to Liverpool, Upamecano to Bayern. So he looks like the next one. But yeah, the talk is that Chelsea would maybe agree a deal, but it won't happen until next summer. But looking at them last night, they were bad. They missed Reece James. The game was
Reece
lost.
James was out.
Yeah, the game was lost in the tunnel when Azpilicueta's getting outsmarted by the ball boy from Southampton.
You were waiting to say that one.
Yeah, he got done with the put your hand out, and he's got him like, and you know,
you can't be doing that.
No, like if you're Azpilicueta, you're thinking
you're 8. You can totally do that when you're 8.
Like he's probably an internet sensation. I wouldn't do that. It's unmannerly.
Well,
Azpilicueta was mannerly enough to, you know, he lost the battle though.
people would say that's karma for what happened with Chelsea and Swansea and the ball boy. Eden Hazard, you know.
It's a long time ago.
It is a long time ago.
Comes around and all that.
Yeah, but
like, just thinking.
yeah, no, they weren't good. Obviously, N'Golo Kante's missing, so they've lost their last 2 away games, and he hasn't been involved in them. Sterling, in fairness, he scored. He had a chance before that, which
Scored twice the weekend as well.
yeah. So I don't think he's. I think one of the issues is Kai Havertz. What do you do with him? Where's his best position? But in general, their attack is not very good.
That was the
not
big
cohesive.
question mark. That was the big question mark.
He brought Broha on last night, who like looked big and burly and decent, but are they trying to get rid of him? Did they put him on so they could sell him in the next 24 hours? Did they put him on because they think he's an option? They have a lot of players who do a lot of the same things.
Yeah. But I just think as a unit, and this was even a criticism I would have had of Tuchel's Chelsea, even last season, where people were wondering could they go on and win the league, and they obviously signed Lukaku, and we know it didn't go very well, but they are very hard to beat usually. They haven't been like that the last couple of away games, but they still don't convince me going forward in terms of what the plan is.
Yeah.
But they have so many good players that they can obviously score goals anyway.
Yeah.
But they're not getting the most out of
It
those
seems
players.
almost, it's like there's no overarching strategy behind how we're going to score beyond we have a lot of good players.
Yeah.
We'll give them responsibility to do it. Your good players go out and you look after it, kind of thing.
He did more or less antagonise Conte, to be fair. He was poor about the referee in a subsequent game when he basically called his integrity into account, and maybe there is a little bit coming back to hit him in the face now. But he's definitely under pressure, I think.
Yeah, I think the results keep going this way. You just can't spend $250 million and expect there to be no repercussions for it. Okay, so very quickly, your thoughts on some of the loan deals that have been completed. Dele Alli going to Besiktas, Callum Hudson-Odoi to Bayer Leverkusen, Harry Winks to Sampdoria. Good for all three of them to be away from the pressure cooker of...
Yeah, I think...
The pressure cooker, Dele Alli in Turkey.
Yeah, well,
That's a pressure cooker.
Yeah, that is a pressure cooker, and he's, you know, if he doesn't perform, the crowd will get on his back. But he needed to get some sort of a change. But I don't know how it's going to work out for him. I think Hudson-Odoi, that's a good move. I think the way he plays his style, the Bundesliga will suit it. It definitely suits attacking players. And Harry Winks, even if it doesn't work out, he gets to wear a cracking jersey every week.
Where's he going?
Sampdoria.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a beaut.
Yeah.
What will new signing Anthony offer to Manchester United?
He's quality. He's obviously going to play in the right wing, but
Where will
obviously-
Jadon Sancho play?
well, you can play him on the left,
Right.
and you've got options down in the middle. But with Anthony, obviously, because he's left-footed, everyone thinks he's going to cut inside, but not necessarily. Like, he has no problem going down the outside, and you know he's not explosive with his pace, but his feet. He's got great feet. Technically, a really good player. So now they need to make sure that they have somebody that can link up with him on that right-hand side. And at the moment, it's Diogo Dalot, but there is talk of Dest from Barcelona, who obviously would have played under Ten Hag at Ajax.
I haven't seen enough of Dest at Barcelona to know, is that an upgrade on Dalot, or is it just strength and depth and they'll have two right backs then they can kind of interchange like most
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
teams?
and Wan-Bissaka would obviously be let go because Wan-Bissaka just isn't good enough attacking wise, and actually defensively he seems
only
to
okay,
his
like.
confidence is gone. Like, you know, when he came to United defensively, he was pretty good in terms of when you try and take him on positionally, not so good, but you know, he's definitely hasn't improved since he's gone to United. So Dest would obviously provide a bit of competition, and because Dalot, I don't think Dalot is he's not good enough really for the very top level. But United are not there right now. They're trying to get there. But
It'll be another
players like
player that he has managed or played against week in, week out. So it's very clear that just decided you are in charge of everything. You can have whatever you want. Fix this.
Yeah, and here's some money. And it's a lot of money people are talking about Anthony, but if he's good, then the price tag never gets talked about. It's as soon as things go bad, the price tag gets thrown at it. Look at prime example is Harry Maguire. I mean, remember when Liverpool bought Van Dijk, people laughed at the price tag.
It's irrelevant once they play well, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, and it literally is small figures at this stage.
Ronaldo, is he still going to be there on today?
I think he
Friday.
will. I just don't know who's going to take him, unless like his move to United all happened very quickly last season. So unless something happens quickly, maybe
The Ten Hag situation is interesting because he's saying one thing, but he must be thinking another.
Well, I guess he's not a bad sub to have to bring on if you're chasing the game.
Is he good in the dressing room if he's not
that's
playing?
the thing.
I don't know.
Is
I,
he-
mean, I don't know if he's going to have. I think so. Ten Hag is now going to have 8 or 9 players who absolutely think he is the dog's bollocks, right? Because of what's happened. The ones he's all signed, the ones who've all played with him before, and the ones who are like, oh, there's somebody who knows what he's doing in charge. All of a sudden, if Ronaldo's pouting, they're like, oh, your man's pouting again. It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, he's the leader, I've got to follow him. Because like he's clearly the boss when Solskjaer is like, you know. But that's changed. So
Is he even a good option off the bench going forward? Like, is he certainly not what he
is.
was?
I mean, like say for example, he didn't play against Liverpool. He came on, but he didn't start. But think about the first few minutes when that ball fell to Elanga and he didn't score. But if that ball fell to Ronaldo, he does score.
but his
Now,
legs are gone, more or less.
Yeah, the
There's
distance,
a dynamic Man United team in the making
Yeah.
in terms of pace and that, so he totally changes the narrative.
yeah.
But it's a difficult one. I mean, short of
Well,
where does he go?
you can cancel his contract. Like Ross Barkley has contract cancelled, and you just pay him a load of money to go away, and that's fine. And then he's not a problem in the dressing room. Or you decide that rather than giving him the money up front, we're going to pay him on a weekly basis, and hopefully he'll score 10 goals between now and the end of the season, and that's worthwhile, you know.
Carabao Cup, yeah.
And look, maybe they win the Europa League and he gets it's that medal. I don't know. What's the Dubravka signing about? Is he gonna
no, he's just backup keeper.
no pressure?
No, but I think that is a position that they need to look at in the future, because if Ten Hag has an idea of how he wants to play, then De Gea is not the answer. But see, it's like you have to clear players off the squad list, and you have to bring it in bit by bit. And
They've done a remarkable job. If they get Dest, it will be like a half a team at least.
yeah,
And that's a remarkable one transfer window.
it's not bad considering a few weeks ago
It looked
where they
really poor.
came from. And
Yeah.
now it's about playing with the intensity that Ten Hag wants, the way they played against Liverpool. But you know, they weren't great against Southampton. So there is
Southampton are
gonna
really
be-
good, it turns out.
Yeah, well, the pitch didn't help either, and the pitch was awful again last night. But look, there is going to be setbacks. So as soon as there is setbacks, then all the same arguments come up. But the thing is, like, this was never going to be a quick fix. But unfortunately, when you're the manager of Manchester United,
I don't know if the same arguments are as readily available to people now. They do have Casemiro in midfield. They will have some brain power there. They will have some brawn there. They will have like a fast forward who's tricky. And I don't know. Maybe he's a bust. Sancho, I don't know if Sancho's going to make it at this level. Like, do you try and ship Sancho out and try and get some of that money back?
I think if you have a good forward unit, Sancho works for you perfectly, because he's a very intelligent footballer, and
So he's going to be an inside left.
yeah. But
That's his position.
I mean, you can interchange. Anthony could play in the left if you wanted. So we see it often as well. If you're playing 3 up front, you know, players can drift into the centre. So it's about having fluidity, and I see Sancho definitely as part of that.
Okay. All right. Man City are in talks over deal to sign Borussia Dortmund centre back Manuel Akanji. Is this a position City needs to strengthen? Is this good?
Big time, yeah. Because even when they played Newcastle a few weeks ago, the starting centre halves were Stones and Ake. And you think when you see those, the problem is you usually can't get the ball off City, so they're fine for most games. But if there's a big game against good opposition, and in fairness to Newcastle that day, they caused City a lot of problems.
A game and a half, they conceded 5 goals, and it was like in the Newcastle game, they did like when they lost possession. It was like, Jesus, you can actually hurt these people.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, City are just not used to teams going at them because they have the ball for so long. And obviously, Ruben Diaz came on in that game as well. And I think it is a position that they definitely need to strengthen. I've never really understood the whole thing behind Nathan Ake, but
They spent a lot of money on that.
yeah,
Will Liverpool sign anybody before the window closes? Yes or no?
no.
All right. That is today's Deal or No Deal.
I signed for them after the Euros, and after my first day's training, I was driving home. I was actually thinking,
Regretting it.
what have I done? Like I walked into a circus.
It's amazing, isn't it?